Physically, they are going to be asking a lot out of their bodies and their performance. Obviously, the bikes are going to be working overtime because we're in elevation. Those things are starving for air. And these boys and these athletes are going to be put to the test, and I cannot wait to watch who is going to be the best at it.
Every motocross race is a true physical test, one of the most physically demanding sports in the world. When you add the heat and the elevation, of course, the pressure with these riders pushing each other. Last week we had a race decided by 0.39 seconds, so they are all out until the very final lap. And that is certainly a test for them as the mechanics move away, and now it's rider versus rider. So there it is, Tomac on the inside there. The experienced champion coming out of retirement, Ryan Dungey, and in between them the points leader, Chase Sexton. Revs are up, we're ready to go, and the gate is down. And it's the 9-time world champion, Tony Cairoli, leading them in and out with the motosport.com whole shot. He's your early leader. He did it last week. He's up front again, and Ken Roczen in the 94 Honda. So successful on this track in the past. He's up front as usual. Oh, Christian Craig, front runner early this year, had a podium at round 1. He's down.
Yeah, he's got to hurry up, get back up as quick as possible. But to your point, great start by the number 222 of Antonio Cairoli. Great start, got a good jump out of the gate, was able to close the door on Ken Roczen. Hugged that inside around that first right-handed corner, and he's got the lead.
Roczen right behind him, so the rider out of Italy, chased by the rider out of Germany. They never really had a chance to race each other in Europe because Roczen moved to the United States as a teenager, but boy, are they battling here, side by side. Can Roczen shut the door? He's stuck in that rut on the outside, still goes for it. Cairoli fights back, holds on to the lead.
Look how ruddy this track is right here. This is a great job by our drone. You can see the different lines that Tony Cairoli is taking. You see Ken Roczen going to the outside there, keeping up his momentum. This track is a little slippery right now. The track crew have put water down. It's very dry out here. Look at the different ruts right here. Some guys inside, some guys outside.
And that long way around to the outside is going to pay off for Roczen. He takes over the lead. That took about 2 or 3 corners to set up. And when the 94 gets to that number 1 spot on the first lap, boy, can he put in some heater laps.
That's been his MO. It seems like a lot, not only in Supercross, but outdoor motocross as well. Ken will get a really good start. On an average, he's one of the best starters in the business, and it allows him to check out, get some comfort in between himself and the guys behind him, and he's able to just ride his own lines and not get caught up in someone else's battles.
Roczen won this race last year and looking good right now. Cairoli has his hands full. The very aggressive Justin Barcia in red there. The 51 is third. Then last week's race winner, Jason Anderson, and the rider he battled for that race win. The points leader, Chase Sexton, right behind him. Anderson in green, and the red is Sexton. So we have a lot of the favorites starting up front together.
Well, these certainly are the favorites, but I want to talk about Ken Roczen really quick. You want to talk about stats. This guy owns the competition here at Thunder Valley. He's raced here 6 times. He's won here 4 out of those 6 times. So he's won 6 out of the 12 motos that he's competed in. He is going to be a really tough contender here against the rest of the crew.
And a 2.5 seconds is the lead by Roczen after just 1 lap. We told you what he can do, and he has running room. But it's a 30-minute test, and endurance is a huge factor as well. And I've got to figure these riders know Roczen's going to be quick early. They're going to play the long game right now. And we're talking about Anderson and that 21 and Sexton. They were able to roll forward last week. Justin Barcia, who is in third, he has had a struggle of a season so far. This is much more like it, usually a podium contender. Let's send it down to Will Christian.
And you said it, a much stronger race so far there for Justin Barcia over at Troy Lee Designs Red Bull Gas, Jason. And I checked in with the team to see how they were doing. And Justin Barcia himself told me that he is expecting a lot more out of this weekend. He had an illness right at the end of the Supercross season. Remember, that's only a month ago when that got wrapped up. And that basically stopped him from doing most of his motocross testing. So this past week has really been the testing for him. And he said they've just made strides, you know, leaps and bounds, made some changes, some adjustments there. So he said, really, I just need more out of this weekend now.
Well, he's going to need it because he's got company. Anderson and Sexton battling hard right behind him.
You can see right now the track crew have put some water down, like I said, to keep the dust down. So right now these guys are kind of following each other for the most part. But as the track dries out, it'll develop a couple more lines. These guys won't have to follow quite as much. Everyone's fading to the outside. You can see right there with Jason Anderson and Chase Sexton.
And Eli Tomac is in the battle as well. He's the rider right behind. That's Sexton on the red bike. And Tomac, the home state favorite, is only one position further back. Then it's Ryan Dungey, Alex Martin, Garrett Marchbanks, Joey Savacci. Oh, getting around Caroli on that uphill section of jumps. Justin Barcia into second.
Well, that was a really good pass by Justin Barcia to get by Cairoli. What he did was he's able to time that step-up jump. He got the sequence right. Cairoli come up a little bit short, a lot of time, and had to surrender second spot.
So Caroli, the Italian, announced his retirement for full-time racing last year, but he had on the bucket list, always wanted to race a bit in the United States. So it's a bit of a family vacation, taking his wife and his young son to see the USA, but he still is serious and wants results, and he's in the thick of it right now as he tries to hold off Anderson. Anderson down to the inside, this upcoming left-hand corner. Can he hold it? Woo, that was tough, and he does.
Absolutely going for it right there, keeping the gas down, the pressure on, really holds the gas on a lot longer.
There wasn't anything pretty about that. That was just pure aggression. He had to make it happen, and he did. Staying right there with Barcia, yeah. And if you're Sexton, RC, you know you got to go wherever Anderson goes.
Well, that's right. You don't want to get a guy in between. If you're Chase Sexton, you don't want to have a guy in between you and Jason Anderson. That'll allow Jason Anderson to pull a little bit of a gap. So you're going to see right here, Chase Sexton do everything he can do to get by.
Oh, Anderson around the outside of Barcia gets a good momentum drive out of this corner. Now Barcia will fight you harder than anyone. Anderson not able to find a line on the outside.
Loving what I'm seeing from Jason Anderson right now. He's going different lines, inside, outside. He's not following, doing anything he can do to get by Justin Barcia because he doesn't want Ken Roczen to get too far out. You look at the timing and scoring on your left here. Ken Roczen has already pulled out a 5-second battle.
Unbelievable, 5 seconds in 3 laps. The Thor battle box will show you on the right side of the screen. It is Eli Tomac closing in on Sexton and Caroli, as on the left side, Barcia and Anderson continue to fight for the number 2 spot.
Look at Dungey trying to get up in the mix right there, closing the gap on Eli Tomac.
Now, Ryan Dungey, multi-time champion of the series, but had not raced motocross since 2016. It was a shock when he decided to come out of retirement for this summer. He has been close to his old level, but not quite there. Ryan Dungey is a proud athlete. You know he wants to race up front, and he's hoping to get a little better each week. I'll tell you what, Barcia's gotten better on this last lap. He's actually added a little bit of distance between himself and Anderson.
So to Will's point, in that testing that Red Bull Troy Lee Designs gas machine and team have done, certainly paying dividends for Barcia right now.
Now we hear that there was a quick tip over for Roczen, and look at the gap. He had a 5-second lead. Now it's down to 2 seconds. He's obviously up quickly enough to maintain the lead, but he lost about half of the gap right there. And look at this pack coming after him. Tomac battling with Chase Sexton right now. These are 2 of the best in the game, and they're 5th and 6th.
These guys absolutely going for it. Tomac's got a good drive up the inside. Is he going to hold it on and take Sexton wide?
Oh, no room. They almost come together, and somehow Tomac holds on.
Yeah, you could see it coming from afar. That's exactly how Jason Anderson got by Tony Cairoli.
Oh, Tomac's going for 2 here, Ricky. Oh, Cairoli's trying to fight him off. He's on the inside of this corner. Tomac, a good drive. He's got 2 passes in 3 turns.
And this is an incredible tough part to pass in the track right here. This is where they've changed the track. We talked about at the top of the show on my track segment. They've condensed this area. There's a lot more corners. Poses guys gives them more options to pass. Look how deep the ruts are. We talked about that as well. They did it in an effort to slow the track down just a little more than what the track used to be like.
Back to this battle. Now you can see Ken Roczen in the distance. Focused on the second place. This is quite a pack right now, and Roczen trying to stay ahead of it as we click off another lap. This will really tell the story when he gets a clean lap. Are they starting to close, or was it just that mistake? They are not closing. He opened it right back up.
This guy's pulling away. One reason I think that he rides so well here, this is a track that you have to have a lot of technique. You can't really power through stuff. You have to be very, very precise. And what I mean by that, you have to be choosy with your lines because this track isn't very forgiving. You have to be extremely precise, and this plays right into Ken Roczen's hands and how he rides and what his style is like.
So Roczen getting it back under control after the brief mistake. Barcia, Anderson, Tomac, Sexton still the top 5. Sexton, he's got to go here. Tomac got around him and has started to open it back up. The IndyCar Series, motors on. Next stop, the famous Road America in Wisconsin. Will Power looks to keep the momentum going. That's tomorrow, 12:30 Eastern on NBC and Peacock. This is Motocross from Colorado. Ken Roczen has won at this track 4 times, including last season, and he sure looks strong right now. Opened up an early lead, went down, lost a lot of that gap. He's opening it back up. We watch the battle for 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Justin Barcia, and then 3rd and 4th, Jason Anderson in green with the mint-colored gear, and his old rival Eli Tomac. These two have been battling each other since they were kids, and they've hooked it up again in a battle for 3rd today.
Well, that big sweeper is really slippery. You could see Eli Tomac going to the outside. He almost slipped all the way off the track. Nice save, but I like how he's going outside right there. He makes up a little bit of time on Jason Anderson by doing so.
There's Anderson out of New Mexico. Both he and Tomac live about 6 hours from here. Tomac, the Cortez, Colorado, or Durango, Colorado area. About a 6-hour drive for him as well. But the difference, when you got New Mexico listed on the driver's license, and the other rider has Colorado listed as his home state, the fans definitely are in favor of Tomac here. And as he gets closer, you can start to hear them. And Chase Sexton going with Tomac. They've left the 2 KTM teammates in the distance. It's Caroli and Ryan Dungey coming through next. We're going to show you how Roczen got control of this race early. See Caroli there in the 222, the Red Bull KTM. He gets the motorsport.com hole shot, and we'll show it to you. But Roczen was in prime position to challenge him.
There you go. He's getting off the back of the bike, putting the power to the ground, closes the door on the number 94 of Ken Roczen, sweeps right to the outside. Now you can see Christian Craig getting caught up. If I had to imagine, made contact with another rider, ran in the back of someone else's rear tire.
And there is Caroli's motorsport.com hole shot. Tristan Lane was the rider that got tangled up with Craig, who has been a front runner this year. Barcia under pressure. Anderson has to go. He has been feeling the heat from Tomac, so he wants to take the number 2 spot away. This is a great battle between 3 veterans, and there have been some clashes between these 3 in the past.
Well, and this is really frustrating for if you're Jason Anderson. You're losing some valuable time to Ken Roczen, but you got to give it up to Justin Barcia. He's riding well enough to get. Oh, it's going.
Oh, this time Anderson down to the inside. They flip-flop the lines from where they were a few laps ago, and it works to Anderson's favor.
Well, there's so many. On the other previous laps, Anderson was trying to work that outside, so he threw an audible. Boom, goes to the inside. He's able to make that pass on Justin Barcia. Now it's time for Jason Anderson to go to work, and I suspect he's going to put in some really fast laps and close that gap on Ken Roczen.
And Eli Tomac's going to work on Barcia. It's the highest speed section of the course. And Tomac has been very good through here through the years. Will he choose the same line as Barcia there? Yes, he will. They're all fading to that outside line still. And then one of the biggest jumps on the track, this uphill triple.
You can see this section of the track completely different. A lot of fast sweeping corners opposed to the tighter track, or tighter section of the track where the track crew made the adjustments, slowed it down, put more corners in there, giving these riders more opportunities to take lines, and it tightens the racing up a little more where guys can't really escape.
And this section has been revamped as well. They used to jump all the way to the top of that hill. They've built in a couple of jumps now, and look at Chase Sexton. Tomac got around him and started to pull away. Sexton has caught right back up. So 2 riders who battled all the way down to the wire last week in California, and it is on. And Sexton's looking to make a pass on Tomac. You don't see that often here in Colorado. So Sexton on the gas. He has figured something out as we near the halfway mark of a 30-minute and 2-lap moto. And through it all, Justin Barcia, he has dealt with pressure the entire time and still riding well.
Look at timing scoring. Chase Sexton was the fastest guy. He ran a 2:17.5. His teammate Ken Roczen, the leader of the race, was a 2:17.7. Third fastest, Jason Anderson, 2:17.5.
So Sexton has figured something out. Is that simply learning the racetrack and learning the lines? Could that make that much of a difference?
Yeah, sometimes, early on in these races, Jason, the track will be wet from where the track crew has watered it to keep the dust down, keep the conditions as good as possible. Once that track starts to dry out a little bit, you become a little more comfortable. You're able to ride and be a little more aggressive, ask more out of the bike, ask more out of the tires.
Tomac continuing to work Barcia. This is for third, but it's also in an attempt to keep Ken Roczen at least in some level of striking distance. 4.5 seconds nearly is the lead for Roczen back to Anderson, and almost 2 seconds further back to these two. And we have hit the halfway mark. 15 minutes of the Moto down, 15 minutes before the 2 laps to go board comes out. And a reminder, you can save 15% on your insurance if you go to geico.com. But you want to keep watching this action. The Colorado fans love it as Tomac is looking for running room against Barcia. And Sexton will not go away. Putting in a charge there, he almost got Tomac.
These guys doing everything they can. I love the creativity and the different lines that they're taking as this track starts to dry up just a little more each and every lap.
Chase Sexton out of Illinois wasn't the most heralded rider coming out of the amateur ranks, but he always maintained that not being able to ride all winter has left him hungrier and hungrier when he would get into the pro ranks and could finally train full-time, and he has absolutely blossomed into maybe the biggest rising star in this series. He's the points leader right now, and he's looking to get around 2 veterans who almost come together with Tomac and Barcia. Sexton just watching, looking for an opening. Oh, this is a great battle between these 3, and as they're trading positions with each other, Anderson is starting to edge away from second.
Oh, Tomac trying to work up that inside.
He might have him here, but Barcia will fight you with everything he has. There was nothing he could do that time. Tomac has clear racetrack in third. So let's see now if Tomac can close that gap back up to Anderson. Anderson able to do a lot of damage while these 3 were battling each other. Still much improved over what we saw from Justin Barcia the last couple of weeks, where he was barely a top 10 rider.
Yeah. I mean, his moto finishes were a 10th the first moto, 11th the second moto for 10th overall.
Yeah, that is well below par for Barcia.
Yeah, certainly subpar for how well he rode in Supercross. We know he is better than that, and clearly the changes that this race team has made for him, getting him more comfortable, that allows you to twist that throttle a little bit more.
I'll tell you, go over and visit that team. That's the Troy Lee Designs Red Bull KTM team. That's Barcia's squad. They are one of the loosest pits that you'll go visit. You wouldn't even know they're racing with how much fun they have over there. You wouldn't think it's serious business. But as soon as Barcia straps that helmet on, he'll race you with everything he has. And that's what Sexton is going to have to deal with right now in the battle for 4th and 5th. Then it's Caroli and Dungey 6th and 7th. The veteran KTM riders, Marchbank, Savacci, Plessinger, rounding out the top 10. And we are waiting to see if anyone can make a charge at Ken Roczen, but he has kept the lead right around that 4 to 5 second mark the entire way. But that's about the distance that Anderson had to make up on the race leader last week, and he was able to do it. So Anderson in second is not going to settle for it. He's not going to roll over. He's going to try to get some pressure on Roczen. Can he do it? 12 minutes and 2 laps remain here in Colorado, and Ken Roczen continues to lead. So here is Roczen, and at this point we're just watching the stopwatch to see if Anderson can close that gap. It was about identical the last time around.
It's nuts. I mean, the lap times these guys are running almost identical, mirroring each other. And Ken Roczen right now, I feel like he's just maintaining the lead. He's able to look back. I'm sure his mechanic has given him, his lead and the gap between first and second. And now he's just looking over the corner of his shoulder. Now remember, these guys are in elevation, so if Ken doesn't need to exert any energy, got to be looking. This is the time you start just doing what you got to do to make it to the end of the race and get that win, because it really doesn't matter how far you win by. As long as you win, save as much energy, conserve as much as possible for that second moto.
All right, meanwhile, Anderson, you know, is going to be pedal to the metal to try to get to him from second.
The 50th anniversary season of Pro Motocross is brought to you by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on motorcycle insurance. Motosport.com. Make your next ride your best ride. And by Monster Energy. Unleash the beast.
It has been an unbelievable start to the Lucas Oil Pro Motocross campaign for Team Honda, the dominators of this sport in the 80s and 90s. It has been a renaissance season. Chase Sexton winning the first round with his teammate Ken Roczen right behind him. And today at round 3, it is Roczen leading the way. Let's send it down to Will Christian with their team manager.
Thank you, Jason. That's in the mechanics tower right now with Lars Lindstrom. Lars, we're watching Ken out there doing a fantastic job. He's through this first moto. We haven't seen that so far this season. So what are you seeing out of him, and is he going to be here for this win?
Well, I mean, the first round he was pretty strong, and he's always really quick around. And so I expected him to do a good start. He really likes riding the bike at this altitude, everything about it. And so I kind of expect him, especially with this cloud cover, it's going to be nice for him. And I expect him to be able to win it, but we'll see. Eli's coming on very strong.
Thanks so much.
Yeah, Lars knows what he's saying. Eli Tomac from third is starting to close on Jason Anderson, and here is that battle for second. Good stuff right here. Whoa, Anderson clips one of the trackside markers, and that allows Tomac to get even closer.
See if he goes out wide and tries to tuck underneath him right here. Eli Tomac, he's trying, doing everything he can. He's just not close enough to make that pass up the inside, up the hill, like he did on Chase Sexton.
Oh, he's almost there. This is the move that Anderson had pulled earlier, and Tomac uses it against him. So Tomac at the number 3, the Monster Energy Yamaha Star Racing Machine is in second, and you can hear the Colorado fans go crazy over that.
This is going to be interesting to see if Eli Tomac can mount on one of those incredible charges at what he's known for, just absolutely charging all the way to the end of the finish. And that would be a bummer for Ken Roczen, because if he's able to win this moto, it will be his 46th career moto win. He's ranked 5th all time in moto wins, tied with Rick Johnson.
Yeah, the great Rick Johnson, a multi-time champion. Now, as good as Tomac is riding, it looks like it's come undone a little bit here for Anderson, almost 2 seconds off of his best lap from earlier in the moto.
Well, I'm wondering if something happened to Jason Anderson with his bike, or maybe his hand when he hit that track marker. Those track markers, especially that big yellow one that he hit, them things, you know, they don't move very easily. So let's hope that he hasn't done any damage to his knuckles or some part of his hand, or, you know, at this point, you hope that he didn't hurt himself. Maybe he just hurt the bike, and it's slowing him down for some reason.
So now it's down to Roczen. Can he maintain the lead over Tomac? It was 6.6 seconds. It's quickly been cut down to 5.2. Roczen is known for his early race speed, rider out of Germany. But Tomac is known for the late race speed, and that has led to some incredible battles with these two through the years when they are in the 250 class, the development class for this Premier 450 division. And really throughout the last 8 years, they have been the class of the field. 2 titles for Roczen in this division, 3 for Tomac, and we could be set for another classic Roczen-Tomac battle down the stretch. Still plenty of time for Tomac to get to him.
It'll be interesting to see if these lappers jam up Ken Roczen and get a look at the timing and scoring. Last lap, you can see Ken Roczen turned to 2:20. Eli Tomac turned to 2:17. Still got a long ways to go if you're Eli Tomac. However, he's trending in the right direction, and these lappers are slowing up Ken Roczen.
So he's taken it from 6.6 seconds down to 3.1.
Whoa.
Now we watch Anderson, and he's got to get it back together, because Chase Sexton from 4th would love to bump him off of the podium in this moto. Every point is going to count in this championship, and even the 2 points between that position could mean everything. So Anderson, if he's ailing, has to dig deep.
Yeah, you just wonder if everything is okay with Jason Anderson. He surely has dropped off. Like I said, hitting that track marker. Hopefully he didn't injure his hand in some sort of way, but he certainly dropped off pace here.
Now, Anderson used to struggle at the races at elevation. but he decided to build a track. He went back home where he grew up in New Mexico and built a track at 6,000 feet specifically to combat that, specifically to perform better at this race. We don't have many events at elevation. Supercross at the Denver and Salt Lake City in the stadiums, and here. So he was really focused in on this event, and it was going well early. He's dropped off the pace a little bit now, and it is down to Tomac versus Roczen for this race win. And listen to the crowd. They can sense that Tomac is closing. And there it is. He has Ken Roczen in his sights.
Yeah, he's got him. He's got him. And let me tell you, as a racer, as a competitor, when you're able to make up that much time, that much ground, it just gets easier and easier to reel the rider in front of you in. Now he's going to be able to see Kenny's lines, eye him up. He's going to have a couple laps of insurance to make this pass. He's still got 5 minutes left plus 2 laps. So looking probably about 4 or 5 more laps left to go. This is a perfect position for Eli Tomac. Now that he's right on the rear wheel of Eli Tomac, that Eli is on the rear wheel of Ken Roczen. He doesn't need to force the issue.
Yeah, he has time to set him up now, and Roczen looks to be laboring a little bit, and Tomac is right there, showing him a wheel, and makes short work of it. Eli Tomac to the lead, and the Tomacs are Colorado royalty. His father, oh, wait a minute. Roczen's not impressed with that story. Now, ratcheting back up the speed of the Honda. But Tomac locks it down, and the fans come to life.
Yeah, I like the grit from Eli Tomac. Tries to counterattack, get back by Eli. It's not going to be enough, though. Eli is just on one of those rides that he is unbeatable. This guy is going for it. He won the last moto last weekend at Hangtown. He comes up through the pack. He made up a lot of ground past everybody, or the top guys that he needed to get by to get into the lead.
And this is what they call beast mode. The last couple of minutes of the moto, he is nearly unstoppable. Let's send it down to Will.
Thank you, Jason, Ricky. And yeah, what we're seeing here is another display of what we saw in Hangtown there, Moto 2 last weekend, when I was talking to Energy Yamaha Star Racing team about his comfort right now, about what he's found. And he's right there. That happened before, actually, Moto 1 of last weekend. They did fork change there. They went from a hybrid to an air. You can tell everybody all about that and the different feel that for him. But they said last weekend between motos, a few more clicker changes were made there, and that said his comfort was found. And that's when, as we know traditionally, we see Eli Tomac be able to make these charges from a few positions back and get to the front, as so few riders are capable of doing.
Thanks, Will. But what's wild is Tomac makes up almost 6 seconds on Roczen in about 2 laps. But Roczen, now that he has been passed, is giving him a fight. He's not giving up on it. Stretch run coming your way here on NBC. Can Roczen get back around Tomac? Settle in for the stretch run. So Roczen has responded and keeping Tomac in his sights. We're trying to keep track of Anderson and Sexton also in a separate battle, 3rd and 4th.
Yeah, Ken Roczen not giving up for a second there. I thought he was just going to lay over and ride this thing out, save up his energy, come out for the second moto swinging. But Eli Tomac made a small mistake in one of the tight corners, and that allowed Ken Roczen to reach back onto the back wheel. So he's looking back. You got a race in front of you, not behind you, Eli. Move ahead. You're pulling away.
And you see Anderson there in the Kawasaki in green, lurking. If Roczen lets up at all, he'll have to deal with Anderson, and Anderson cannot back off at all because he has Chase Sexton chasing him. So this is going to be a good battle for this last podium spot.
It's going to be interesting to see what happens. Ken's got to keep the pressure on, keep digging. It's a long championship, but these points are always so crucial.
We are back, a great battle. This is for the final podium spot in this Moto Lucas Oil Pro Motocross Championship. Jason Wygant, Ricky Carmichael, Will Christian to give you the call. Jason Anderson out of New Mexico understands these conditions, lives actually not too far from the Colorado-New Mexico border, but he has his hands full in 3rd because Chase Sexton, the series points leader, has caught him, and these two could be battling for the title all year long. So every point's going to count. Sexton desperately wants to make this pass.
Well, and this is going to close up the points situation. Roczen was only 12 points behind Sexton. So he's going to make up some nice points here to Chase Sexton.
And Anderson had a rough go of it at our opening round in California, where he crashed in the first turn of our second race that day. But he won last week, and he did it by overhauling Sexton. This time Sexton's trying to reverse it and get around Anderson late. And it's been the story all year. Anderson, 29 years old. Eli Tomac, our race leader, 29 years old, well established. Meanwhile, Sexton, just 22. It's his third season in this class. He's always had speed and talent. The question is, when does he put all the pieces together to have the consistency to knock off the older riders who have been there and done it? Could it be this year? That's what Sexton's trying to say right now as he puts pressure on Anderson. Oh, he's going to work the outside, RC.
He's coming to the outside, keeping the momentum up for sure, but it's just so hard. Jason's riding extremely well.
Anderson gets back to the inside. Going to cross the finish line. And the clock just barely did not expire. So it'll be 2 laps to go the next time around. Could have been 2 to go, but instead it's 3. That's how the game is played in motocross. So Anderson got a lot more work to do to hold Sexton at bay.
Yeah, you think about when you miss a lap in outdoor motocross, it adds a lot of time to the final race time. Talking 4 or 5 minutes more.
And they're going to feel it, especially here.
Heat. Yeah, that's right. This heat, we talked about a little bit earlier. I mean, it is super hot today, hotter than it's been all year for these guys. So they are being put to the test physically, but these are the athletes that can handle it just incredible. Their power to weight and how they're able to maneuver these bikes that weigh 220 pounds of horsepower. They're incredible athletes.
Also dealing with the 6,000 feet of elevation. So the breathing's going to be a little bit heavier. Sexton is on a charge downhill. That's Sexton on the red 23. Getting right to Anderson. Some of these downhill sections, and Anderson in the corner is able to pull back away.
You can see Ken Roczen is still right there in front of him. It's going to be interesting to see if Kenny's going to be able to hold these guys off. They are certainly closing in the gap.
Yeah, as Anderson has had to deal with the push from Sexton, it is drawing them closer to Roczen. Those are the 3 riders on screen. Second, third, fourth. And a good gap back now to Justin Barcia, who is 5th, and Eli Tomac. And you see the distance. There he is. And those hillsides, they are highly biased in favor of the Colorado native. As I was saying earlier in the Moto, the Tomac family is Colorado royalty. His dad, a legend in downhill mountain biking, a world champion in his own right. So they know the Tomac family in this area. When they come here to see the number 3 win the race. It looked a little dire early on, but he put in the comeback charge they wanted to see.
Well, this would be a good win for Tomac. Last time he was on the podium in a moto here was way back to 2020.
Yeah, last year was an uncharacteristic ride. It was barely in the top 10. And at that point, people were wondering if maybe it was the end for Tomac. It's been a renaissance season for him, winning the Monster Energy Supercross title, and now looking for 2 straight moto wins in this motocross series as we go back to the battle between Anderson and Sexton. 2 to go.
I think Kenny's going to be able to hold these guys off. They're starting to get late in this race. They're coming up on lappers, and Jason just isn't close enough to make a possible move.
He has still Sexton to worry about. In a couple of sections, Anderson then can see the wheel of Sexton behind him. What's going to happen first? Does Anderson catch Roczen? Does Sexton catch Anderson as we go back uphill? Woo! Walking the tightrope, Anderson in that section, pushing it.
These guys are using every little bit of track, trying to find the smooth lines. Look at, you can see right there. Oh, no!
That is Aaron Plessinger, who is running in 9th. Lost a couple of positions now. Rider out of Ohio on the Red Bull KTM. Been a bit of a struggle start to his season as we go back to our race leader, Eli Tomac. 2 moto wins in a row, potentially en route after he won our last race a week ago in California. And that is bad news for the competition. When he starts feeling comfortable, that is why he's a 3-time champion of this 450 division. When he's there, he is awfully hard to beat.
And this guy's just cruising right now, standing up through the ruts. This is like kind of the new generation style, new type of riding. It's amazing how they are able to do that, the kind of balance they have, their core strength. They stand up, keep their feet on the pegs, using their balance, balancing the bike through the ruts. Incredibly hard to do, where back in the day, a few years ago, guys would sit down, keep their leg up, get it out of the way of the rut. You can see these guys hardly ever take their feet off the pegs.
Listen to that crowd, Ricky. That is unbelievable through that valley.
Yeah, especially for Eli Tomac right here. And this is a great ride for Eli Tomac and that Monster Energy Yamaha Star Racing crew. Been working hard, made some changes like we talked about from the opening round at Fox Raceway.
Yeah, it was alarming. He came into the series with a bit of a knee injury, didn't even race the last stadium race, the Monster Energy Supercross Championship, try to heal that knee up. And at the very first moto here in outdoor motocross, he struggled. And a lot of people thought, well, maybe that's the knee acting up. They said no, they just need to do some tweaks on the motorcycle. And boy, have they ever gotten it figured out. And he's one lap away from a big win here.
It's going to be a nice points moto for Eli Tomac. He's going to gain some points. He was 19 points behind Chase Sexton, so this will be a good moto for Eli Tomac. Give him some nice confidence, boost in the arm.
Well, we had a chance to talk to him last night at our pre-race show we do in front of the fans at the Monster Energy stage, and we said, can you hear that? And he said, absolutely you can hear that crowd support, whether it's in a stadium like the Denver Supercross a couple of months ago or here in the outdoor amphitheater that is Thunder Valley, and that's got to give a little boost.
Well, and you know where Eli Tomac is on the track because you just listen to where those cheers are. It's like, yep, there's where Eli is. Almost done here. Riding this thing home.
And this section of the track that they changed, way back in 2015, when he was the young rider in this class, he had started the season completely unbeatable, won the first 5 motos of the year with massive gaps. It was down in this section that he crashed at his home race, hurt his shoulders, and that was the end of his championship bid. They've changed the track to slow it down. So he did say, although most of my memories here are good, it can go bad, and he's certainly aware of how quickly this track can bite you.
Well, it is, and this track isn't very forgiving because of that rut and how hard the dirt is. These ruts get very, very hard. They're not soft, so you have no wiggle room whatsoever.
Oh, one last salute to the home state hero who's looking to conquer them all here at Thunder Valley. We're about a half hour outside of Denver, and Eli Tomac is giving them what they came to see. One of his classic charges from the pack. And in the last 10 minutes of this moto, he simply could not be answered. In all that training, a lifetime at elevation, he simply has fitness and endurance that very few are able to match. And he has it tucked away now. Had to catch Roczen from about 6 seconds. He bridged the gap, he made the pass. Roczen put on a brief fight to get him back. Couldn't do it. And Eli Tomac is putting in a vintage ride, the 29-year-old, out of Cortez, Colorado, headed to the Lucas Oil finish line, and he wins his home race, Moto 1. Here at Thunder Valley goes to Eli Tomac. And at the finish, Roczen will hold off Anderson. Sexton comes in 4th right behind Anderson, and a late pass. Tony Caroli, the Italian, able to get around Justin Barcia for 5th. So a good ride by the 9-time world champion. But this day belongs to Colorado's own Eli Tomac, and we'll talk to him when we return.
At Beta, the